Yo, ELESTRALS just banned its first card, Death to the Rabbit. Wait, Sparkitt got banned? Huh. Yo, what is up, everybody? So ELESTRALS just announced its very first banning, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I think a lot of people off the start are looking at Thunder Nexus as this deck is too good, it needs to get a hit, and a lot of people were pointing at Ash Rabbit. Now, the reasons for Ash Rabbit getting banned are A, it's in a lot of decks, B, it's really oppressive in Thunder Nexus, where you just keep getting card advantage with your rips and stuff like that. And it's just this giant wall and obviously a frustrating card to play against in general. I want to counter the point of I don't think Ash Rabbit is the right call to ban Thunder Nexus, because I personally think, I don't have data to back this up, nor do I think anybody really does. If Ash Rabbit was banned from Thunder Nexus, or if Ash Rabbit was banned in general as a card, I think Thunder Nexus as a deck goes from tier 1 to like bottom of the barrel. And not necessarily bottom of the barrel, but it takes, like, losing Ash Rabbit and Thunder Nexus nukes the deck. I believe that if Ash Rabbit got banned, Thunder Nexus would be gone from the like competitive meta. That might be a little doom and gloom, but I legitimately think that Thunder Nexus would be gone. Now, a lot of people will be happy, like, yeah, Thunder Nexus is gone, hooray. I don't think that's fair to a lot of players who've spent their time and invested in building Thunder Nexus for it to just instantly drop into obscurity because it loses a key core piece of building its board. Generally, Thunder Nexus needs that Rabbit in play to hold board state, because without that 5 defense body that receives, it kind of just gets run over by everything. Now, we have also seen in previous tournament, the last webcam tournament, the top 4 was 2 like Zoo 6 guy decks and 2 Thunder Nexus decks. So those 6 stat lines to get over Rabbit are relevant as countering Thunder Nexus. Now the deck still won 2-1 in the final match, but that 5 defense body is relevant, and getting past Rabbit really improves your win chance against Thunder Nexus. So yeah, without Rabbit, I think Thunder Nexus just falls apart to any aggressive deck. Like even 5 guys just runs over everything in Thunder. Thunder has no other 5 statted Elestrals. Maybe you can count Jolton with the Stadium, but that's not super resilient. So yeah, I think hitting Rabbit would have been a poor choice for Thunder Nexus players, but generally I think people would have been happy with that. So why is it Sparkitt? Sparkitt obviously has also been talked about a bunch. It is an unfun card to play against in the chance that they open it going first. There's a 9.8 chance that you open Zeus plus Sparkitt going first, and then they rip your, let's say, your Earthquake out, and then you play Sparkitt with the back row, and then they do it again. That's where the Sparkitt problem is. Now, that's not consistent, and Sparkitt in the middle of the game isn't that oppressive. Well, I guess not that oppressive unless you also have Rabbit, so you're looping and cycling and yada, yada, yada. But that early game play with Sparkitt just is unfun, and with Rabbit combined, it does become problematic for sure. I made a video in the past where I thought that Sparkitt didn't need a ban, and I still stand by that for base set, because in base set, Thunder Nexus wasn't the top deck, it was Earth Beatdown. And we also saw, like, now with Frostfall, we see, like, Race to the Top, making the Thunder engine a little bit more consistent because you're running more in-element cards, running more Thunder cards, making losing the Thunder to, like, Zeus and stuff not as impactful, as well as providing in-engine strong removal. So that's another thing that I think just makes Thunder Nexus stronger now, to the point where it does need a hit, and that Sparkitt hit's interesting. And I think the most interesting thing of the whole entire announcement is that Sparkitt is getting errataed, but not errataed. It's just getting a new card with a similar effect in the future. So A-Drive has announced, or ELESTRALS has announced, that in set 5, which is going to come out sometime, probably next year, that Sparkitt will get a retrain where the current effect is a 3-1 that is Nexus up to 2 Thunder, discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Which is definitely a big nerf, and that's what it was in Prototype. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the Prototype cards. So Prototype Rabbit and Sparkitt were worse. Sparkitt was a random rip. Rabbit had 4 defense. But also in Prototype, Thunder just wasn't seeing any play because it had no way to stay on board to everything going on. 5 guys ran over it. Earth Beatdown ran over it. And Thunder struggled to keep up. So those cards got buffed at the very end of playtesting to help Thunder, like, actually play. Now, early Thunder play test with those cards in Prototype, this speaking from my experience, because I was there, right? Those buffs helped Thunder be viable, but not this oppressive, and it took months and months and months for people to really refine the Thunder Nexus list. I made a tier list way back when Thunder Nexus first started getting played, after these changes that put Thunder Nexus on like C tier. And that's because the deck needed to be refined still. There was a lot of cards in that deck that didn't really need to be there. There's Circle of Skies and stuff. Didn't play as many Altars, and like the deck got refined over and over and over, and now we get to Frostfall, and the deck's super well refined and oppressive and strong. So I know Dan said it was a mistake to buff the card. I don't necessarily think it was a mistake to buff the card. I think it was the right call in the moment. But of course, players over the course of a year and a half before Frostfall came out refined the Thunder Nexus deck to be this competitive powerhouse that it is. So that's my take on that. But the fact that Spark is now getting an errata without it being an errata in the future set is really interesting to say, like, hey, if a card gets banned, we're going to make a new version of the card that's maybe not as strong. So it's getting retrained in a sense, which is really cool. So coming out in the future set, we're going to see a new Sparkitt that will maybe bring life back to the Thunder Nexus deck if it falls apart. Which is nice to know that at least at some point the card is being filled by a card with a similar role in the future without it completely. So it's like, it's a nice little reprieve from the card, right? We're saying, okay, the card's banned, we're just taking a step back, we get to play without that card in the format for a bit, and then maybe it comes back as a weaker version and we see how that goes. So that's super interesting. It's errata without an errata, as I mentioned, and it does make that all of our 4-1 Sparkits and our prototypes and stuff are kind of irrelevant now, which no one wants to see cards get banned, but obviously bans are good for formats to make them more playable. So hopefully this makes Thunder Nexus a little bit weaker and a little bit more enjoyable to play against without making the deck still too oppressively strong, because Sparkitt wasn't the problem. Sparkitt was a problem. Maybe it wasn't the direct problem, but we'll see what happens in the future. I think it's definitely interesting. August 5th, Sparkitt banned. Get your kicks in now while you can, and I'll see you guys in the next video.